Welcome back to the Square. I am your host, Curtis the Fifth,
And I'm Curtis the Fourth.
and NBA season's over.
The
finals wrapped.
Sucks. You know, it was a very good playoff run. I thought overall, and
I think the playoffs were fairly exciting
it was
every single round. This is the first time I've actually had legitimate fun watching the NBA playoffs in probably the last 7 years.
It's about the same. Probably since I think the last, and I think this was 2017 when it wasn't that the year KD won with Golden State. The year he came on. I mean, not a big KD fan per se. I really don't endorse what him and LeBron has pulled off in the last 10 years or so. But for the sake of them having to go head to head and me watching KD just shoot the lights out on LeBron.
True.
And LeBron tried. I mean, he tried. And that was the thing. He tried. You know,
I think in that playoff run, I think they also beat the Clippers. And they were like talking. It was Pat Bev and I forget who the other dude was sitting on the panel, but that was literally the quote that they had. They were like, "What more could you guys have done to stop KD from taking over this game?" And he's like, "I promise you, we tried."
Right. I mean, I think that was KD had a lot of great games in the past and a lot of good ones and stuff. I mean, but I've never seen nothing so notable like how he in that particular finals. Not that this segment is about that, but I haven't enjoyed basketball since that series. You know, and
I mean, I didn't even like that playoff run. I barely watched that playoff run. I think the year before.
Yeah, the playoffs.
I'm
just the finals matchup.
And I'm talking about the year before.
Right.
I didn't even really watch that playoffs as being super interesting, except for the finals. Obviously, that was the year LeBron. That was the year
LeBron
Golden State came back 3-1 versus OKC, and then lost going up 3-1 versus that was that was fun. But outside of that, really, I really like that regular season. Steph was hitting insane shots all year long. That was highlight after highlight coming out of Golden State that year. And it was before KD, where you could just say, okay, that team is hands down going to win it.
Yeah, I had season tickets that year.
Oh yeah, you did. I remember that.
Minnesota almost beat Golden State twice. Almost.
They tried.
Very competitive. I mean, they got closer than most, I have to say.
No, because was that the year Jimmy Butler was there, or is that the year after?
Year before.
Year before.
Remember?
He was in Philadelphia that year?
Oh, he was in Chicago still. They traded for him. That was even before Thibodeau came over. Remember Sam Mitchell? Because Flip Saunders passed away. And so Sam Mitchell stepped up as the assistant.
Okay, that was that year.
As an interim.
Yeah, it was my senior year. So now I remember.
And then Thibodeau came the next year.
Gotcha.
And then the wheels, oh my God, the wheels just fell off at that
point. Oh, they could have been so good with Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, and Thibodeau.
Yeah.
And
you see what Thibodeau's doing in New York right now?
Yeah, working.
All right, back to the finals.
Back to the finals, yes.
Milwaukee obviously won. They won it in 6. They had a fantastic game 6. Phoenix they literally the wheels fell off after game 2. Everything fell apart. They couldn't win another game. They couldn't play cohesive basketball anymore. But let's start with giving Milwaukee their dues. Giannis definitely deserving of the MVP, hands down. Yes. I mean, just based off of that last game alone, he should have won MVP. 50 and 14 with 2 assists and 5 blocks. Completely took over the game. Nobody could stop him. He wasn't going down without a fight.
I get that. You know something that is his numbers are very impressive. The one thing I'm so baffled by, why is his ceiling is 14 rebounds? He never eclipsed 14 rebounds. I mean, he could put 50, 67 points, 46, 40, 14 rebounds. You know, just what is up with,
I don't think he really goes aggressively to go out of his way to get rebounds. I think he lets Brook Lopez get his. He lets PJ Tucker get down there and do what he wants to do down there, even though PJ Tucker doesn't do it nearly as well as him. But when they come to him and he has an opportunity to jump up, get higher than anybody, he'll go ahead and do it. I think he does. This is what I think is insane, because when you watch him, he passively gets rebounds. Like it comes naturally to him, as opposed to if he went out of his way, like kind of studying the game, kind of how Dennis Rodman did, and he could track where that ball was going. I mean, you everybody's seen that clip of him talking about it. He would watch it, hit it, bounce off, and he'd know exactly where that thing is going to go.
I was gonna say his model was a little different because man, Dennis could have cared less about scoring. I mean, he spent 2%.
That's all he cared. All he cared about was rebounds. But that is also
defense, right.
what Michael Jordan asked him to do.
That's all we needed
at
the time because we was replacing Horace Grant.
Yeah.
Grant did provide like 14 points, but let's keep in mind we didn't have Tony Kukoc.
Yeah.
So we had the scores.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I think Giannis, I mean, because obviously he doesn't need to be an insane free throw shooter to be successful. I mean, we saw that this entire playoff run, he can still be successful without scoring from the free throw line.
Even though he shot insanely from the free throw line.
In that last game, he was like 17 for 19 in the last game.
Yeah. Nearly 90%.
But still, it's where I'm looking at it is if he gets better at rebounding, if he actually like puts effort into rebounding, because when you watch him, like I said, he does it passively. If he just kind of gives effort on that end, this dude will be a walking 50 and 20.
Some Wilt Chamberlain numbers there. I don't know about the 50 points a night, but but I hear you.
I mean, averaging, he'd probably average 30.
I'm trying not to play devil's advocate. I'm gonna respect his 50 points and his 14 rebounds and his 5 blocks, and he little 2 dimes he put out there, which is and try to be a Skip Bayless here. But he did have 6 turnovers, and you just cannot turn the ball.
When you're getting 14 rebounds, that makes up for it.
When you're winning the title, who cares? I didn't turn Milwaukee is impressive. I mean, let's put aside, just put a small, let's just take our mouse and scroll this one series over to the side, and let's put the Brooklyn series over to the side. We all understand what happened there. Whatever. Apart from that, they looked very good in the playoffs.
True.
They really. So I'm kind of setting up next year. We know what the next year's narrative is about to be. But with that being said, for the majority of the playoffs, they looked very good and as a team overall. Now, of course, there's the ups and downs. We've seen it all through the of course we've seen it in the Brooklyn series. We've definitely seen it in the Atlanta series, and obviously we've seen it in the finals, where this hot cold element that they have offensively, the Chris Middletons of the world, the PJ Tuckers and Bobby Portis and the Drew Holidays. That you just
even Pat Connaughton.
Thank you, Pat Connaughton. I mean, if you want to throw in a Jeff Teague whenever they decide they want to play him,
has he ever had an up?
I don't know if it's with the Bucks this year, but I mean,
in the past, obviously. I mean,
I know you're down on him, but I'm not gonna disrespect the man because I watched him play far before he got here.
Yeah.
So I guess the way I'm looking at this and why I don't say much when you say kind of be down on is I look at it as just may not be a good fit for them. Like this team, just whatever. You can sit there and be like, oh, I want a title. I've seen a lot of players on title teams that move on and never speak of their experiences there because it's just not. It wasn't that type of experience for them.
That's the case. It sucks for him because I think he's still under contract next year. He can't even get out of it.
Yeah, because you already got Brian Forbes on your neck.
Yeah, Bryn Forbes has a player option.
That's what I'm saying. If he comes back, and it's just. I mean, I guess that's fine, but it's just. I don't know. I'm trying to stay on the game, but from what I was, okay, they played well, but this is what happened. Milwaukee, obviously, for front court, far more superior than Phoenix's front court.
Oh, God.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay. I still say Phoenix has a better team.
Yeah.
Collectively, I still think Phoenix plays better basketball, team basketball. Does that take anything away from Milwaukee? No. They're a different type of team, but put in a head-to-head, everybody being healthy, I still believe Phoenix can win the series. Now, There have been some glaring things we talked about it already about some concepts and schemes that I didn't agree with that Monty Williams was doing, and
Hmm.
specifically, the disappearance of their power forward.
We'll
Like,
get into
but
them in
no,
a
no, I'm
minute.
not. I'm
Yeah,
just using the concept. I'm not
yeah.
going into that. Just as an example, but and all of a sudden we started seeing Phoenix not being able to be the team that could make the proper adjustments. But
Yeah.
back to back to back to Milwaukee. I was just wanted to say they they took advantage of they did basically what they did with Atlanta. Atlanta was a much smaller, younger team, and
They did what they were supposed to do.
thank you. And that's really what I was getting at. I was like, okay, okay, give you your flowers, you won, I get it, but I mean,
Well, and the other thing that I wanted to mention,
yeah,
outside of Giannis, clearly Giannis deserved the MVP. He played a heroic basketball this entire series. When other guys didn't have a game where they could step up, or they just couldn't get it going, Giannis made up for a lot of that. But in this game specifically, Game 6, Drew Holiday stepped up defensively for the entire series. I think after Game 2,
mm-hmm.
where he was trying to lock in Game 2, but he just couldn't figure it out. And then boom, Game 3 on, Drew Holiday has been a defensive just nightmare for the backcourt of Phoenix. I mean, obviously they couldn't stop Devin Booker, but to make him have to work that hard to get where his numbers were,
Mm-hmm.
obviously a W there. And then to almost from game to game, it's kind of 50-50 if we were going to get a serviceable Chris Paul if Drew Holiday was on him. So big props for Drew Holiday there. Bobby Portis off the bench in this game was insane. 16 points. I mean, just that alone, like, what was Phoenix supposed to do with that when he's scoring like that? I feel like there's nothing that you can do. And then they really had that whole crowd behind them. They had that a fully packed stadium, completely rocking out there in Milwaukee, and then they had 60,000 in the Deer District, literally right outside of the stadium, making it impossible for Phoenix to even hear themselves think. like that, they were insane. I think that was a huge proponent of it. And then Chris Middleton kind of took this Belichick New England type approach in this series and just did his job. He didn't try to go extravagant and be this insane scorer or anything like that. He
Mm-hmm.
didn't try to get all the assists in the world. He just, no, I'm gonna play within the in the scheme that we have. We're gonna play our game, and kind of took the Phoenix approach, if you will, and just, I'm gonna do my role. Wherever my stat line falls, that's where it falls. All I care about is the win at the end of the day.
Mm.
And he basically just didn't lose them any games.
Right.
So I think Phoenix needs props across the board or not, sorry, Phoenix. Milwaukee needs props across the board for how they played and how they responded in this series,
Mm-hmm.
because going down 2-0, even though it was on the road for them, even with that still is a huge feat to overcome. And then on top of that, to win 4 straight, that was, they need all the props for that. They played impressively to finish out this series, and I think they knew it. If they would have let this thing go to 7, it would have been a completely different story in Game 7.
Exactly. Exactly, and I agree. I won't add much to that. That was pretty straightforward. But congratulations to the Bucks. I mean, they,
First trip in
when you
50 years.
when you thought, yeah, and when you thought they were out down for the count, and they was on the ropes and the bell rang, and you just thought, man, when they come back out, that's gonna be a wrap for them. And then Game 3 happened,
No,
and
but even
series,
with Game 3, I was like, all right, that was what was supposed to happen. Phoenix, first time on a flight in a long time, having to bounce back. All right, whatever. Bounce back from that,
yeah,
win Game 4, and it was
wasn't
going to be a wrap.
right,
And then Game 4 was a rout.
wasn't expecting a sweep, So it's like, okay, but yeah, I mean, I guess back when we were talking about the playoff, that kind of how much as I was enjoying it. Well, I was going to conclude, I was enjoying it up until Game 3 of the finals, because
Mm,
that's, I mean, the series literally just changed.
yeah.
It was a tale of two complete series.
Well, let's
My goodness, I mean, I don't know what happened here. Yeah,
let's talk about Phoenix, because I think I know what happened.
go right ahead.
Well, let's start with the stat lines here. Phoenix in Game 6, Chris Paul, 26 points, 2 rebounds, had 5 assists and a steal. Devin Booker had an abysmal night, 19 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, and 6 turnovers. Mikal Bridges was only able to put up 7 points. He got 6 rebounds. He was snagging them. 2 assists, 2 steals. Jay Crowder, 15, 13. No assists, but 4 steals. It sounds pretty until we get into what his deal is. Ayton, 12, 6, 1, and 2. He was having a tough night. Nothing was really falling for him. And then off the bench, Cam Johnson and Cameron Payne combined for 13 points. Cam Johnson had 3 rebounds
Got a
and a
question.
steal.
One quick. Oh, sorry. I'll let you finish. I'm sorry.
No, go.
This is about Cam Johnson. That's what my quick. Why was he only playing 16 minutes? I don't even understand why Monty Williams cut his offense because I'm looking at the Bridges and I'm like, okay, you kept him out there to do what? You know, he shot 3 for 7. He played nearly 40 minutes.
Yeah.
3 for 7 from the field. He had 6 rebounds and 7 points and 4 fouls. So all I'm seeing here is when he got in foul trouble, that's when you decide to go with Cam Johnson.
Yeah, I'm not.
Cam Johnson is technically your number 3 scorer on the team, if not number 4, arguably. But definitely is, he could be literally like the number 3 scorer on this team. So I'm not understanding what was going on in this last game, and his limited minutes.
Yeah.
I just do not understand it.
I don't have
And
a
to go
good
even
answer for that.
further to that, Jay Crowder plays 40 and a half minutes again.
Well, and I'll get to him
But
in a
yeah,
second.
I'm leaving. I'm just setting it up.
Frank Kaminsky got some play though. 6 points, 2 rebounds, an assist and a steal, and Torrey Craig also got in the game for I think like a minute, but did 0 things. But here's what I think was the biggest issue with Phoenix in Game 6 specifically.
Okay.
Now, you guys can go rewind the tape and exactly what I said about Phoenix. It was Jay Crowder and DeAndre Ayton need to combine for 20 rebounds. And this game will be theirs. First of all, they didn't do that. They combined it for 19 rebounds.
Damn.
And surprisingly, Jay Crowder was the dude that had more. He had 13. And his stat line, I think me and you talked about this, his stat line sounds pretty nice until you really actually watch the game.
Mm-hmm.
He was 15, 13, no assists, but had 4 steals. That sounds fantastic. If you say your 4 had that stat line, you're like, okay, you guys were really into this game. Like this game should be hands down yours. But let's go back and man, I'm frustrated because I thought Monty Williams would have the foresight to shut somebody down who is having this horrible of a night. And trust me, that stat line sounds pretty, but this was a bad night for Jay Crowder.
Let's talk about the other stats he had.
Yeah, because this was a putrid night for the whole team, but still, Jay Crowder specifically really hurt this team. Jay Crowder was 4-11 from the field, 2 for 9 for 3. Again, and you asked this question, I've asked this question, and I still haven't gotten a clear reasoning as to why Jay Crowder is taking, what is that, 91% of his shots from the 3?
Yeah.
Why is that the case? That is one of the most infuriating things to me because if he's taking, because he was hitting the shots inside the 3-point line.
Mm-hmm.
He was 2 for 2 on 2-point field goals.
Yep.
So why in the hell are you shooting 2 for 9 from 3? Why are you taking 3-point shots in the first place? After you miss 2 of them, Monty Williams, you need to grow up and just say, no, you are done for the night. If you take another 3, I am pulling you from this game. Because at the end of the day, you're hurting the team drastically. I did say I would love for him to get his rebounds, whether it's defensively or offensively. He had 11 defensive rebounds and only two offensive rebounds, which is huge, and that's fine. But if he's playing within the arc, you have a better opportunity of getting more second chance opportunities from him getting freaking rebounds. And it's frustrating to see that you only had 2 rebounds because you've been standing on the 3-point line all game for 41 freaking minutes.
And that's the thing. And that's one of the biggest stats I look at, his minutes played. His efficiency level is so low based on minutes per game. I'm like, you play so many minutes just to get, 15 and 13 and 4 with 4 steals and a block. Oh my God, you 5 for 5 from
And
the free
only
throw.
3 fouls. I think this was huge for him to only
Right.
have 3 fouls and not be in foul trouble at any point throughout this game. To
Keeps
be
him
because you can keep your foot on the pedal in that case, but if your foot on the pedal is you shooting from three,
exactly.
what the hell are we doing?
He needed to be in foul trouble because as I'm getting at 40 and a half minutes and you only end up with 15 points and you only
Mhm.
shot 4 for 11 in 41. Dude, it's only 48 minutes in the game. You damn near played every minute, and that's all you were able to muster up.
Mhm.
Even when his game it looks like a good game. I don't want to sound like I'm some kind of Jay Crowder hater. I mean
I'm
his
frustrated with this
numbers
play
are
from this series.
so ridiculous if you really dive into his
Yeah.
numbers. And I'm like, because I had to find and understand how did this team lose 4 straight games?
Yeah.
How did
It's
this team
specifically
finally
their
meet
power forward.
exactly? And how did this team face their first elimination game and then get eliminated? All when it all came at the finals,
Mhm.
and here it is. It starts right there because I don't know everybody wants to go to the easy route. Let's go and dive into Devin Booker and dive into Chris Paul's numbers. And
Yeah.
stop, because let's be clear, they're allowed to have a bad game. They have too many good ones where I cannot sit there and be like, damn, Devin Booker, why you got to be 0 for 7 from a 3-point? Well, hell, he can't hit them all the damn time, especially carrying people like
I mean, obviously, you wish
Mikal.
that it wasn't in this game that he has this because I will say Devin Booker had a putrid shooting night. That it was a bad night for him.
I
but
get that.
but I think it was for the whole team because even DeAndre Ayton wasn't
No.
even able to hit shots from what 4 feet out.
He
He was
bad.
literally shooting from the restricted area and could not hit it.
He was, I mean, but he was playing nervous, and
I mean, and Giannis was on him.
Right, it's something. I mean, the pressure just got to them, and that they're a young team.
Yes,
It can't. Fine, it got unraveled. They were down. They didn't handle the pressure. But I mean, because I'm using Booker. Like, come on, Booker just had 240+ games. Where was the rest of the team then?
True,
So
true.
I'm like, this is where I'm like, okay, then the minute he gets, he's 19, 5 assists and 3, still good stats. He didn't shoot well.
He shot horribly. He was 8 for 22 and 0 for 7 from 3.
See, bad shooting night, not a bad game.
Yeah,
per se. I understand the 6 turnovers,
and that's why I specifically said Devin Booker had a putrid shooting night. I was like, he didn't have a bad game. He was still very effective when he was on the floor. Yeah, I mean, when you watch that game, he was still the hottest thing out there.
Actually, looking a little like Kobe spinning off of Drew Holiday. I'm like,
he tried to tap into that Mamba mentality if he possibly could have.
I'm not buying into the hype. I'm just considered all the talk, just a couple of spin moves he did. I'm like, damn, he actually kind of look like him right now. Just the move.
I know he does try to model his game after Kobe,
and that's interesting because I'm like, you would think he would be trying to model after Jordan in the sense of no, he doesn't. He don't move like Jordan. He moves like Kobe.
Yeah,
which is very interesting. It's an interesting concept.
Well, they do have similar builds too.
True.
So.
True. Minus the 2-3 inches, but
yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, these stats are I mean, collectively, Phoenix was they were done by game 6. I'm just hindsight talking, but just looking at the number, they were done. And they had nothing. Nothing was coming off the bench outside of them shutting down Cameron Johnson for whatever reason and completely activating Jay Crowder and empowering him. So, and I don't know what the hell. Where's Mikal Bridges? Where has he been? And he's been nowhere. Torrey Craig, another guy missing in action. I do like what the one adjustment that I did like that Monty Williams did was play Frank Kaminsky.
Yeah.
That
was nice.
Especially with this crap going on with Jay Crowder. Play Frank Kaminsky. And which was kind of interesting because they played them together. Frank Kaminsky helped Jay Crowder with these 3-pointers. In one particular
didn't you pass it to him twice in one play?
Yes. Yes, you pass it to him. He missed. He got Frank Kaminsky goes down and gets the offensive rebound, gives it right back to him. Guess what? Does Jay Crowder look anywhere off to any other teammate to pass? No, he shoots immediately again, and then that was his second of his 3.
Was that the 4-point play?
No, the 4-point play came before.
Okay, gotcha.
This one came after, but it was just like, okay, theoretically, you wasn't even supposed to. You missed the first one, but luckily, the man on the bench decided to give it back to you for whatever reason. I don't think he was giving it to you for you to shoot. I think it was more so they didn't foul him or trap him down low, so he was just getting rid of the ball.
No, I think Jay Crowder he's been to me the catalyst for the demise of Phoenix, because his play at a certain point, yes, shooters shoot, but I don't. Jay Crowder, first of all, to me is not a shooter, and second of all, he is 1,000 times more valuable to this Phoenix roster, getting just stuffing the rebounding stats. I don't care. Like, again, and I said this last week. Jay Crowder does not need to do anything offensively. And if he does, I don't want a single one of these shots to come from beyond the arc. I want to see Jay Crowder running from paint to paint all game. If you're going to play him for 41 minutes, paint to paint. That's it. I do not care where you're taking your shots from as long as they're inside the 3-point line. Because he's super efficient from inside the 3-point line. Again, 2 for 2, and yeah, it's 41 minutes total. But that's because he's standing and crowding around the 3-point, the 3-point line. And when Devin Booker isn't getting his shots to fall, when he's 0 for 7 from 3, you're not down there in the paint to go get those rebounds and give him a second opportunity, or get that ball out to Chris Paul or Mikal Bridges to give them more opportunities to get shots up. And then on the offensive end. On the defensive end, you're sitting guarding who I God knows who. You did get 11 rebounds in this game, and that was huge. And I think that was probably the only reason why this game wasn't lost by 20, 30 points, is because Jay Crowder on the defensive end was not allowing Milwaukee, even though Milwaukee did have a ton of second chance opportunities throughout this game. They had a total of 11 offensive rebounds. So they had 11 extra possessions in this game. But Jay Crowder did also take 11 away, just him alone. So it just frustrated me that Monty Williams didn't have the gall, the foresight, or whatever you want to call it, to shut Jay Crowder down from shooting from 3.
And the only person that rivaled him was Booker, with 46 minutes and 0 for 7 with 7 attempts.
But I don't have a problem with Devin Booker taking 7 attempts. I have a huge problem with Crowder taking 9.
My point was just mirror those two together. But then let me tell you who's the number 3 person: Cameron Johnson. 1 for 4. I'm like, okay.
1 for 5. Oh no, yeah, 1 for 4 from 3.
It just, I mean, one. I'm not seeing, like you say, there's only a certain amount of just a handful of offensive rebounds that they were getting. There was only a handful of 3-point shots they were taking, and then there was just bad shooting all day long. So, I mean, it just, my gosh, like, where do we start? Where they failed in so many areas in Game 6. It just, so I'm saying that to say it ain't just Jay Crowder, but that is a big glaring reason, and it starts there. But it goes into a lot of other things that I'm sharing right now.
If Jay Crowder didn't do this in Game 3 or for this entire series, if he stopped playing this way, where he's just hanging around the 3-point line, we wouldn't be talking about Phoenix losing in Game 6. Potentially, we're talking about them losing in Game 7 for sure, based off of the play of the rest of the team. But I think Jay Crowder, if he stopped shooting threes, if you made Jay Crowder, you have four attempts from 3 per game. One per quarter. If you left him to that, and for the rest of the time, you do whatever you can on the offensive end to get as many second chance opportunities as we possibly can. That is your sole job on the offensive end, and if you do that, we'll reward you with one 3-point attempt per quarter. I think that's the way that you play him. If they would have done that, if they would have done that, that is at least worth 1 win in this series. 1 more win.
I can get with that.
I mean, it wouldn't solely win them this series, obviously, because you definitely need Devin Booker to be your offensive leader, and you definitely need Chris Paul to be more effective in kind of setting up and being that floor general.
Right.
And also DeAndre Ayton needs to be more impactful down low. But just Jay Crowder alone is easily able to get you at least 1 more win.
Yeah.
That's all. I mean, I was really worked up about that. There's not much more I could say. I mean, he I think that solely was the reason what knocked him out is in Game 6, Jay Crowder's play that handcuffed the Phoenix Suns from getting any opportunity of winning that game.
Gotcha. So looking ahead, Phoenix is going into the off season. Obviously, they need to address quite a few issues to retool for next year. Next year, Lakers coming back, Clippers are coming back, Utah, Denver's coming back. I'm talking about these teams coming
Yeah,
back healthy.
yeah. If Chris Paul is here, if he does decide to opt in for his player option, I think Phoenix is going to be in kind of the same situation. I think they're going to be in that 2 to 5 range in the rankings when the playoff starts.
If they just bring this team back just as is,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Because you're talking about they bringing back Jay Crowder, like they bringing back that same concept. Because I'm like, eventually, and then now we're talking about year two. Teams are catching up to your scheme. Hear what you're saying. I'm like, that's what I was saying about looking ahead. Like, okay, where do they go from here? Do they just?
But that's what I think. I think so highly of Monty Williams' system and the way that they play basketball as a team. I don't think any other roster out there is going to be able to compete because they don't have the chemistry that this team does. They don't play the same way, and I think that's what causes people to run into this team. And I truly believe that's the reason why Phoenix was a a finals participant this year is because they were just that good at playing team basketball. And I think team basketball still does win you games in the NBA, especially when it comes down to the playoffs, because at the end of the day, if you don't trust the guy next to you to hit their shots, there's no possible way when you guys are in a high pressure situation, you can your talent's not going to overcome the chemistry that this team has.
Gotcha. Well, slightly disagree with part of that. Just my point is they got to build off of this. They can't just bring it back and everything is going to be all right, because I don't think there are other teams that I've mentioned. I said they'll be healthy, but they're coming. You already know these LA teams, so they're about to reload. Then the question is, who's going to be the other team that didn't have really anything or really wasn't in contention, and all of a sudden they step up, because we got like this Damian Lillard thing hanging. We don't know what's coming from that. We have a free agency thing that's coming up. Okay, does people want to go get a payday, or are people trying to win a championship, or somebody trying to do both?
I mean, the only guy that they need to worry about on their roster right now had it up. It was Chris Paul. Obviously, he's got a player option, so whatever Chris Paul decides he wants to do, I'd be kind of surprised if he doesn't take the $40 million.
I was going to say, yeah, it's $40 million.
Yeah, so I'm like, I'm leaning towards Chris Paul is accepting his player option and he's going to come back. And then who else was it? There's one other person that they need to focus on, try to bring back. Oh, it was Frank Kaminsky is the next biggest name on their roster that's going into free agency. Everybody else is under contract.
Torrey Craig's still on contract. That's interesting.
I believe so. But if Torrey Craig's not, there's enough.
I don't know why I thought he was a free agent.
I didn't see him on the list when I was looking.
Okay,
he might be able, because the site that I use for it sometimes doesn't have it completely up to date.
That's fine.
So possibly, but
I guess what I'm saying, what I believe needs to happen, they're gonna have to bring another person in here. They need another piece. This is not taken away from Aiden.
How much money do they have?
But it's not taken away from Aiden. But you even bringing back Chris Paul, I can't realistically see Chris Paul as a number one next year. And the question, if you really want to put this team in position, shouldn't they be going after a number two guy? Quasi moving Chris Paul as that honorary 3 and let him be the facilitator, as opposed to being the scorer that we need when he's technically our floor general. But then now we need him to be the number 2 scorer because Booker needs help. Because we got people like Mr. Bridges and Crowder who just can't seem to get their stuff together on the offensive end here. I just don't see them coming back. And I understand team basketball, team concept. I just cannot see them just coming back with this team as is, and they can just compete and still be the 2 seed and still get nearly to the. They're gonna get railroaded, because they obviously need another big man. They need to address what they're gonna do with Cameron Johnson. Is he a
Hmm.
six man? Is he gonna be the starter? You know, what is Mikal Bridges' role gonna be next year? What are you gonna be some type of specialist, like a defensive specialist? Are you a slasher? Are you just a wing guy? Are you just what is your role on this team? And because he just seems to get lost in the offense, and he's out there, but every now and again you see a play or something from him. I'm like, dude, I've never seen somebody look so invisible on the floor than Bridges. I never noticed he's even out there.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about you watch the game like I do. He's a starter. He's already on the floor. Yet I don't even see you.
Yeah.
He's non-existent on the floor.
They have a potential of a max calorie salary cap space of 26 million. Not exactly sure what those qualifiers are going to be to determine if they have that 26 million or not, but that is their current standing. So I mean, they do have the money to go get some pieces to put around. So
Any
I'm not too worried about that. Like that's why I think that this team definitely, as it stands right now, is going to be in a position to if Chris Paul is on the roster, I think whatever else they add on to this team is only going to help them. And that I do know that yes, some teams might theoretically catch up and beat them in the regular season. But I think that this team is 100% a playoff. Like they're totally, to me, with barring any injury, obviously, this roster is going to be in the playoffs again next year. I don't see I don't see 8 other teams better than the Phoenix Suns in the West.
No, I agree with that. That's a
So that's where I'm at with that. Obviously, I think Dallas is going to get better. I think I think Golden State's going to be in the mix next year. I'm not totally sold on Memphis. They could get better. They could get worse. New Orleans is a team that's one of those ones that is going to be on the bubble of making it in the playoffs. Obviously, I think if LA is completely healthy, they're not going to be in the 7 spot next year.
We don't know
Um,
what's happening with Portland, and
yeah, yeah,
that's another
I
question
think
mark.
Portland might be one of those teams that drops out of the playoffs next year. Utah might not drop out of the playoffs, but they're not. I don't think they're not running for the 1 seed again.
I don't think they go from 1 to 10 in one season
No.
either. But
Oh, yeah, I forgot about they're doing the plan again next year. And then also Denver. I mean, they're still gonna have to figure out how to play with fans in the stands and with Jamal Murray coming back.
mm-hmm.
So they've got some stuff to figure out as well. I think everybody in the West is going to have a lot of fluctuation this year. So I think with them making whatever, with Phoenix making whatever adjustments they do, they're not going to be in a situation where they're hurting to get to the right spots and getting back to the playoffs and competing to make it back to the championship. I think that they definitely could, depending on what they do in free agency.
Agreed. So, and piggybacking off what you're saying, so what I've has from where I started, from what I am seeing, they can bring this team back. Yes, they will be competitive. Yes, they can compete. Yes, they can hold their own. But we're talking about them trying to. Their goal is to win a
Yeah.
championship. I think this is the most stereotypical version of their one player away, literally.
Mm.
And that's all I mean. Like, yes, you have to re-sign Chris Paul first and foremost. I'm saying on the greater side of it, and most ideally for them to be successful for for the next several years, is to go out and get that prototypical number 2. Booker's your number 1 guy. That's your franchise. That's going to be the face of your team. I understand Chris Paul's the floor general, the veteran. Not saying that, but we understand that Booker arguably is going to play another 13, 14 seasons. Barring any injuries, of course. And so on the higher side, trying to find that number 2 guy to aid Booker, where Chris Paul can actually just be the facilitator, and then when needed to score, he can go ahead and offer up his offensive game as much as he wants to, as opposed to he has to bring it on both elements every single night. And you gotta hope the big men do what they do, or they gotta go. Him and Booker gotta go down there and help rebound, and they're doing everything. And I'm
What
like,
would
that
you?
looks great, but
Yeah.
once it, like as always, not that I wanted to come to that conclusion, more times than not, at some point in a playoff run, or by the time you get to the finals, they get found out, and now you have no answers for your opponent.
Yeah.
i.e., this would be Milwaukee at this point. They just got to a point they got stuck. And like y'all scheme, I don't know how Budenholzer figured it out, but he figured a scheme out, and
Mm,
I don't.
I think they just let Giannis run, but I'm still I'm not out, but I'm rather low on Budenholzer right now.
Oh no,
Uh,
no, that didn't change my how I felt about him. I'm just saying if he did, it's like the one good thing he did. You
yeah.
know, he capitalized on a few adjustments. He said he gonna put the ball in this superstar's hand. I don't understand why that it took you all the way to the finals to come to this
What kind of
conclusion. Like what happened in the Brooklyn series. You know, because that's what my problem is. Because they out here pumping their chest and all this all puffy chest. I'm like, what was all that back in the Brooklyn series though? You know, I mean, KD was one guy.
yeah. And
And really, he was
gave
the
them
only one that
work.
was doing anything, and he worked y'all. You know,
And literally is 2 inches away from sending you home.
right? And I'm saying that now, not that I'm a Brooklyn fan, because I wasn't, and I'm just like,
Oh well, because I was really hoping Milwaukee won that series.
I did
I did not want to see Brooklyn in the finals.
I didn't either, and I you know, I'm like, well, serve y'all right for sitting there trying to stack the deck like that,
Yeah.
and, you know, and that's fine. But then, you know, then this is just this error came subtle. It just seems this little
I mean,
error that
once
just
I
came
take
in.
out the fact that I really wanted to see Phoenix win the series, it still was pretty exciting, regardless. Just watching it, I could, because even when I'm watching it, I can tell that I am invested in the game because of the way that I feel watching it. And
Mhm.
that's what was so different about this year and about this playoff run, is that when I'm sitting here at my desk with my 3 monitors here, I'm watching it on one screen here, and I'm just sitting here like, man, I'm trying to like play 2K or play Witcher or something like that, and I'm like, God, I gotta pause this game to watch this because this is too like this is too close, this is too much fun to watch, and it is truly fun to watch when Bobby Portis is scoring 16 off the bench. Drew Holiday is giving Devin Booker and Chris Paul the work, and Giannis is playing insane basketball and literally cannot be stopped by anybody on the court. And then just to see Phoenix as a team come back and play the way that they do and still be 2 possessions away from winning this game. That's I think what's insane about it, for how bad that team played. Still, they played so
close.
well that they were so close. Like this team was never really out of it in that game.
And none of it, well, you know, game 3, yes, but yeah.
Well, yeah, that's an outlier.
But other than that, but yeah, that's what I'm getting at, and that's what I mean. They're one player away.
So
granted, it sounds weird because I'm like they wasn't no players away.
They really shouldn't
series,
be.
but
let me ask you this now.
Yeah.
Obviously, if Kawhi ends up declining his player option, everybody's going to be scrambling for him, and I don't think that they're going to have the money to go after him. The other guy that has a player option this year, that if he declines it, I think should be looked after pretty hard by Phoenix, Montrezl Harrell.
Really?
Yes. I think LA completely misused him this year because I mean, if you go back to the bubble playoff, the Clippers were using Montrezl Harrell, and he was looking like, oh, he's going to be the next superstar of the league. And that's why when the Lakers got him, I was like, geez, they're using him that same way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's any way that they can be stopped. Montrezl Harrell, I think, definitely is a guy who, if he's in the right role, in the right system, which I think Phoenix, if you just play your role within Phoenix's system, he does that, he's going to be a rebound machine, and I don't think he's going to take away from DeAndre Ayton by any means.
He's a power forward? What is he, just
power forward, center?
Okay.
So, like, he's one of those dual players. I would say that he's a power forward.
Okay.
Some people would disagree with me on that and say that he's a center, but to me, there's only 2 centers in this league. That's Joel Embiid, 3. Joel Embiid, Rudy Gobert, and Jokic.
What? No DeAndre Ayton? Not a center to you?
No, he's still a 4. He's too small. I mean, he's tall, but he doesn't have the same. I mean, he would be the closest. He'd be that next. He'd be tier 2.
6'11", 250. I mean, everybody can't be Shaq.
I mean, when we're classifying Giannis as a 4, and he's getting pushed around by.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. So like.
I tried, DeAndre. I tried. I didn't have much.
It's not a bad thing to be a 4. I mean,
I think he's. But see, that's what I'm saying. When I'm looking at his footwork,
Because people keep trying to say Kristaps Porzingis is a center. No, he's a 4, but beyond all 4s. Like,
but I'm looking at his footwork. Like he doesn't move
he
like a 4.
Yeah, that's fair.
He's a step slower than
Yeah.
a up and running number 1 top tier,
Yeah.
Power forward. Like I get that he can and switches in certain elements for parts of the game that he can stick like somebody like a Giannis, but you just for 48 minutes he's gonna keep you on. No, man, he gonna work you. I'm sorry. I'm like, that's a disadvantage.
Giannis is a freaking specimen, man.
Right. I'm like, your best defense will be your offense. Like, just don't give no defensive effort. Save all that.
His Euro step is insane. He can pull up from the top of the key.
You see how long
Euro step, and he'll be at the rim. And it's not one of these new school Euro steps where it's a legitimate 7-step travel. No, he takes a legitimate 2-step Euro step, and is right there at the cup.
The bounce is the 3rd step.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, he's already there.
Yeah.
I'm like, his strides are so freaking long.
When they slowed it down and showed me it, I was like, this dude is stepping from the key all the way past the free throw line.
See,
how?
This is my question, and that's what I don't understand. What I was getting to. What the hell was the coach thinking? You had this dude all this time. You know what he's capable of, and you never play him like this. Like,
and I think it's also the fact that Giannis doesn't have the temperament to be like, no, because what I saw in the Brooklyn series was what I thought what he was doing was, I'm taking over now. I was like, oh, is this the time that we're going to see this from Giannis? I just don't think he's that dude where he's going to say, all right, coach, I hear you, but this is, like, I'm going to take it. He's not going to do the LeBron thing.
No.
He's not going to do the KD thing where he's like, no, this is mine. No. I got this.
And let me, and I agree. And let me be, and I'm saying that to say, I'm very, very clear that, his 2 biggest series came against Atlanta and Phoenix. That's all I'm going to throw out there. When I seen Brooklyn, I'm sorry, Milwaukee, y'all in the indictment, because come next year, bring it. Because I have a problem with that. Like, okay, you took, like you said, you did what you were supposed to do. You took advantage of the lesser team.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Air quotes there with lesser.
And I'm mainly saying
team.
this from a front court standpoint, because in both cases, that's where Atlanta and Phoenix is light. They light in their front courts. Their strengths are their back courts. And that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. Milwaukee's more balanced than everybody else if you kind of spread their talent out, which I think is what's helping them, kind of help them along with Giannis has always been that guy. They just haven't played him like that, and I'm speaking to this narrative that's out there, like all of a sudden Giannis arrived. You're like,
no, he's been there. He didn't do, because when I was watching him, he's not doing anything any differently. They're just giving him the spot to just go do whatever he plays.
Right, and we're asking people like a Drew Holiday and definitely Chris Middleton, how about you shoot a little less? And
you finally woke up and said, hey, you go take this.
Here you go. You do it.
We need you. I think it's more of that whole not Chris Paul, Dwayne Wade coming to LeBron saying, we need you to take over. Instead of that, they were like, well, we're going to force you to take over.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of the more temperament. And if that's what happened, and that was a whole Budenholzer thing where cool, props to you. I don't think that's how it happened. I think Chris Middleton was coming to a realization, I'm not going to be able to hit 80% of my shots this series.
Do you think he shut himself down?
I don't think he shut himself down, but I do think that he did take more of a mentality of, I need to get Giannis his spots instead of I need to wait until my spot comes.
Right.
So, because I think they're both that type of dude that's like, I'm just going to take it when it comes to me. But I don't think it's necessarily saying that he shut himself down. I think he just became more self-aware and played it smarter.
Yeah.
Which is props to him. I mean,
look, Bobby Porter's had more 3-point attempts than him.
Exactly.
What the hell? Bobby Porter's really feeling himself in this game.
Sure did. All right.
You want to know what his most glaring stat was to me?
What's that?
Yeah, in 22, nearly 23 minutes, he had 5 fouls.
Did he?
Yeah. The next.
Oh, yeah, he did. I
mean, my goodness, he was just out there just fouling away.
He was trying.
Yeah. Anyway, but moving on. So I just think they're still. I think they're one player away, and I'm speaking to organically. It's the off season. Somebody's leaving. Somebody's coming. You got to go to the draft. You got to consider somebody new on. Beyond that little process, who are y'all getting? Like, are y'all gonna snag one free agent? Who is it gonna be? Or y'all gonna be like, we're good, let's run it back? Okay, interesting. I mean, I think it would behoove them to not try to bring a little more talent over here, But that's just me. But again, congratulations to Milwaukee. They definitely, hands down, they won the series.
Yeah.
I just think the better team lost. That's all I can say about that. All right. But the best team don't always win.
I agree with that. But again, props to Milwaukee. I think that even though they went up against a team that was hurt and just kind of collapsed, it was a well-deserved win. They played fantastic this series, bouncing back from the first two games. So props to them. Congrats to the fans. Milwaukee, you're not going to see another one for another 50 years. No.
That might be true.
Yeah, no. That's neither here nor there. Do you have a question of the day?
Not exactly a question, but it was something me and you were talking about off air. But this is to these super teams. But I got a fun fact of the day.
Okay.
Just throwing this out here. So, in regards to super teams, and I know there's people out there that have all kinds of definitions, but we mean these overnight assembled teams that, these little pop-up stores that come up and then all of a sudden there's a team just sitting there with a bunch of superstars, looking at everybody on the court. Mm-hmm. Okay, that is a super team. With that being said, we are determining that the super team era has started in 2010-2011 season with the Miami Heat when of course Mr. LeBron James decided to take his talents over to South Beach with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh.
Yep.
So from 2011 to 2000 to 2021, I'm going to say 2021 for the last 10 years, or 11 seasons, or whatever the case. Yeah. The fun fact of the day is, did you know that no super team has ever won a championship in their first year together? Look it up. Do the research. But no super team has ever won a title in their first year of being assembled together.
All right.
That's the fun fact of the day.
Well, I think that's going to do it for today's episode. That's a wrap on the NBA Finals, the NBA season. And now we look ahead to the NBA offseason. I think we're going to do I know the draft is on Thursday, 2 days from now, but neither one of us watched college basketball to really discuss that. So We're going to just let that happen and let that pass as it is. We're not going to try to BS one of those types of shows. We're not going to do that to our viewers.
Y'all don't want that. It's going to be forced.
I'm just going to be honest. We really did not watch NCAA this year.
No,
I usually do. Just this year was
I was going to say it was a joke.
Yeah. But we will talk about NBA free agency next week. It does open next Monday on the 2nd. So be on the lookout for that. But officially, it's football season.
Hashtag Phoenix Suns versus the Atlanta Hawks in the finals next year.
If only. All right. Let's wrap it up for today. Thank you guys for listening. Go like the show. Follow us on Twitter at @the_square_pod. And please share if you can as well.
Drop a couple of comments.
Yeah. We'd like to have a discussion with you guys. With that being said, again, thank you for listening. We'll catch you guys in the next one.
Have a good night.